What's going on, good people? It's Rich here.
It's your girl Ray P. And we are back. It's been a minute. Welcome back to another episode of the We Got Y'all podcast.
Shout
With
out to you, Ray P. How
Ray.
you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm very excited to record with you.
Yeah.
Just because we are recording, we got y'all. It's
It's been a
been a
minute,
minute, as you said.
y'all.
Yeah, been a minute. You've been teasing that we're gonna get something out. This just happened to be the perfect week for us to take a break from Culture Garden podcast and kind of put some time into we got y'all.
Mhm.
I like to look at this as a check-in.
For sure.
And I'll just kind of tell you, well, before I even get into that, shout out to all y'all listening and watching. If you're
For
on
sure.
YouTube, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for staying subscribed to the feed. We thank you
Yeah.
for hitting us up and wanting that feedback. Don't forget that Rachel has the Instagram page as well.
Mhm.
All of our information can be found in the link tree. I mentioned Culture Garden Podcast. That's where we discuss films of the culture. Like I said, we're taking a week off. I personally wanted to take some time today to, sharpen up this We Got Y'all feed
Yeah.
and give the listeners an opportunity to learn some more about you, Rachel. Um, I think it's important, and we'll get into all of it because this is what we naturally do, which is this.
Mhm.
There's no script, there's no outline or anything for today's episode. It's just going to be a natural conversation that
Yeah.
me and Rachel tend to have. But I really thought it was important, like I said, for us to maybe just give you some insight on our relationship, as far as how me and Rachel know each other, why this thing works. Because I've gotten a lot of feedback about people love the specifically relationship discussions that we have.
Okay.
But they always talk about our chemistry.
Yeah.
That's something that's always said, and just kind of talk about your. I think you're a TV genius, and I mean that seriously. I think the way you're able to digest and analyze and understand television at
Mhm.
such a high pace and rapid pace, as far as the quantity and quality, I'm very impressed by it, and it's something I can't do. And I think it's perfect for this. And as we try to figure out exactly what we got y'all is going to look like as a whole, um, I think that I just want to hear your vision. I want people to hear your vision because this is Ray P's podcast. Like I said, it's a duo type of thing, but it's really Ray P's. Um, but let's kind of take it back to the beginning. Let's kind of go retroactively. We got y'all was started initially as
Mhm.
a podcast to discuss Insecure.
For
Season five, as we called
sure.
it,
Yeah.
of Insecure. Some people know that, some people don't. That is why it's called We Got Y'all. Obviously, a play on Issa's nonprofit where she worked in the show, and we had a great time discussing um, season five. And it was originally supposed to be on the Culture Garden feed. There were some other things that happened that prevented that. We decided that we were just going to make our own feed, just have it be a mini series. Do you remember how it became a permanent fixture? Like, I do not recall how that happened or what made us continue to just keep this feed open.
I don't. I think we
Actually,
just enjoyed it because I'm trying to think of what we ended up doing.
I
Was it
know what it was.
immediately after?
I'm gonna look it up. I know what it was though now, but
Yeah.
go ahead and keep going.
No, yeah, that's it. I just think that we had a really good time and people were receptive to it. And so we said, let's do it. I mean, we
That's
took a break
exactly
from Culture Garden, but yeah.
that's exactly what it was. People were receptive to it. That's why we kept the feed alive because we were looking at certain numbers. It was like, oh shit.
Hmm.
So we finished Insecure, and then we did Best Man final chapters,
Okay. Yeah.
and then we got into Your Honor, and then we were doing Your Honor and Harlem at the same time, and then we did Succession.
Hmm.
And Succession is the point where I personally realized, all right, this is a Ray P thing. Like, this is going to be better suited in her hands, and under her guidance.
Hmm.
And I felt comfortable enough because we never really had any talks about what this was. It's just, all right, it's a successful feed. People seem to like it. Um, like I said, once we did Your Honor or Best Man Holidays, and once we did Your Honor, all right, we can keep doing this style. But there was no discussion between you and I as far as what's the play, what's the long-term plan. We're just gonna do it as we can. And
Mhm.
Succession, I mentioned that because it was my idea to do Succession.
Mhm.
Shout out to Brian.
Shout out to
Brian's
Brian.
been on Culture Garden. Brian's a Succession fan. Talks very highly about it, and it was like all three of us were going to be involved.
Mhm.
Schedules got crazy. It wasn't able to play out like that. So there might be a week where you had all three of us. There might be a week where it was me and Brian. Might be a week where it was me and Rachel, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It just didn't, as Rachel famously says, it just didn't curl all the way over.
Yeah.
And it was a good lesson as far as not everything, even if it's great television, not
Mhm.
everything is meant to be discussed on a week by week basis or a long form basis. It might just be give a couple thoughts to keep it moving.
For
And
sure.
that's what Succession felt like. So
Mhm.
I told Rachel, like, hey, I think because we were even saying the television podcast for the Culture Garden.
Mhm.
And then it was just like, nah, this is just we got y'all. This is his own thing. This is Rachel's baby. I'm gonna be here to help Rachel and do whatever we can. We did run the world
Yeah.
because of that affinity for television.
Mhm.
Do you remember? Well, I guess even if we go back to our first time recording, did you ever imagine just having a podcast?
Um, yes. Well, first, let me back you up. I just want to say that, guys, everything that Kyron just explained is why there's been such a break in recording episodes for We Got Y'all, because I didn't want it to be a drag, or I didn't want to dread coming to record anything. As much as I love TV, clearly I've watched a million shows in Q1 of 2024, but just nothing that I was uber passionate about. So I'm excited because we will have things coming up after this.
Yeah.
Now to answer the current question, the reality is that I love to run my mouth. I could see me with the podcast. But the time, I think that if it were not for your push, would I have actually done it? Probably not. But could I have seen myself with a podcast or a show in general on TV? Absolutely. That's what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be doing. That's what my degree is actually in.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and I've said this numerous times. There was just such a natural connection and chemistry.
Mhm.
Let's take me out of it. Let's just take me out of it. Just you on the microphone, it just felt right. It sounded right. You a wild one. Uh, it sounded right, and it just flowed. I just knew right away, like, oh, this is. I would listen. I think I've told you. I listen to Ray Pete talk about wallpaper, like whatever. Is she just the way your voice projects, the way you can discuss serious things, you can discuss the bullshit,
Mhm.
and always give a unique perspective
Yeah,
along with some comedy, because you don't be trying to be funny. That's just really how Rachel is. Um, I just thought it was perfect. So I knew it was something that you had to be involved in. I'm lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to record with you on a consistent basis. Like I can't tell you how much joy it brings me and just how much I love um it- the authenticity. It doesn't feel like I'm doing anything different than what we've been doing for years.
for
And I
sure.
guess that goes to I met Rachel when I was 18. I think it was through FLP.
It had to be. I mean, we both were in the crossings.
Yeah, we both were in the crossings. I don't know if it was I don't know if you did the AFAM office
I did the
used
AFib.
to,
Oh yeah.
but they maybe they did like the little move-in thing. You move,
Mhm.
I forget
We
what they
did
called
that.
it. It was either that or it was FLP, one of the two. I don't, and this just goes to our relationship. There's no cinematic story of we were in the cafeteria and X, Y, and Z happened. Like I just known Rachel since I was 18. She's been my dog since we were 18. Like
Yeah,
that's
for
all I
sure.
could tell you. I can't tell you like a specific time. Like me and her have been tight. I remember towards and this is something I think about a lot, and it might not mean anything to anyone else, but it was a big thing for me. Like Rachel was one of the first people, like I in college, like towards the end, like 2009, 2010.
Mhm.
I'll never forget me and you went to Texas Roadhouse, like
Okay.
off of airport.
That was a spot back when it was only one in Toledo.
Back when it was off of airport, it was just me and you,
Yeah.
and we just sat down and broke bread. And for me at that age, in college, like that wasn't something I was just doing.
Yeah.
And it was just on some cool shit. And I think for anybody out there who's been to college, you meet a lot of people, you meet a lot of friends.
Hmm.
It's up to you whether or not you nurture those relationships
For
and
sure.
whether they're going to be something. And I remember after college, Rachel's job would have her come into Cincinnati
Yeah.
and she would make sure she hit up. And they just kind of like, all right, then this isn't just somebody that I was cool with for 4 or 5 years at Toledo. This is
Hmm.
my dog. Even though I never expected that, but because we were always so tight. But it was like, all right, then cool. Now we've taken that next step to extending this past college shit or whatever the case is. I remember when we talked about FLP, which is called the Freshman Leadership Program.
Hmm.
We were both in it. We were part of the first class.
Yeah.
At one point, I ended up being the director of the Freshman Leadership Program.
You
And I
did.
remember asking, hitting up Rachel on some like, Rachel, can you come talk to these freshmen? Come talk to the kids. I forget what room we were in or what building, but you came through and just kind of gave your spiel, your encouragement. Like, listen, this is what it's gonna be like for the next few years. All that stuff. But I'm only saying that to say Rachel's always been there when I needed her,
Yeah,
and I would like to think vice versa.
for sure.
Um,
That's crazy though. I
yeah,
didn't even have a job.
it was crazy. It was wild. It was wild
You
times. And
be running my
I
mouth.
listen, people always talk about our chemistry.
Yeah.
What do you think that comes from? I just went through the spiel of like say us just being cool, but why do you think it feels so natural, or does it feel natural for us to be having these conversations?
It does feel natural. I think it's just organic, and for those reasons, when you meet people at such a young age, you're grown, but you're still a kid,
Hmm.
and you go through essentially life together. You grow up together. And it's tricky because we look at relationships and lifelong friends. The majority of my core group of friends are the people that I went to college with. There
Hmm.
are still people that I grew up with, who we've remained close, but for the most part, it's the people that I experienced life with who are still now almost 20 years later still around. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I think that it's a testament to that and being a real nigga,
straight up.
fostering those relationships, never being on no weird shit, being genuine, honest. I
Hmm.
think that probably speaks to it. And just given the type of people that we are, we're different, but we're also very similar. So there's
Yeah,
no reason for us to really get off on the wrong foot or be on
yeah,
opposite ends of each other. You know what I'm saying? Like we just
yeah. No, I love how you put that because that's
cool.
very true. We there are a lot of things that Rachel and myself are like lockstep in,
Yeah.
and I think that helps with our relationship because it doesn't need a ton of water.
Mhm.
Like we make sure we water it, but it's not. It's like one of those. I don't know what type of plants, but the plants where they tell you like you can water this once a month or whatever. Like obviously we talk to Rachel. I talk to Rachel weekly, and
Yeah,
I talk to her about more than just podcast stuff.
for sure.
Um, but me and Rachel also just don't like talking to people in general. Like we'll go through our spurts. And I don't want to make that a blanket statement, but we can go through our spurts where it's just one of those weeks. Like I got so much other shit going on. Like I
Yeah,
don't need to hear from anyone. It's not that, and it's just it's that simple. I don't need to hear from
for
anyone. If
sure.
I can go these 5 days without hearing from a soul, I would be fine. And then once I'm ready to kind of like reach back out, everything cool. And I
Yeah,
think neither one of us are needy in that sense where, oh man, Rachel ain't hit me up today. Is everything cool? Like, it's never that. It's just a natural thing. I can't really explain it.
for sure. And that's not just I think us, that's everybody that I maintain relationship with just because there's only one person on this earth that I talk to every single day. The rest of y'all, no shade. I'm just not going to. And it's not for a lack of fostering that relationship. I just don't be feeling like being bothered. And
Yeah,
also, if you need me though, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna pick up the phone.
always.
I'm not on do not disturb. I am also a person. If I don't have anything to say,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna beat your eardrums up because who has the time? Like, I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like anti group text. Like you can put me in one, but I'm not gonna participate for real. I'm gonna put that group text on mute
For sure.
and I'm gonna check in every now and then. But it's not like I said, it's not an anti thing. It's just more so I love that we have that similar personality because neither one
Yeah,
of us have to go above and beyond just to keep it a buck with each other.
for sure. For sure.
And I would say we maximize, like there's so many real conversations and so many intimate details that I've shared with Rachel. Like, and there's other people that probably don't even know things. Like I've like we'll have those conversations, just kind of like talk about what's going on in life, just the real shit. Just be sounding board for one another. And I appreciate the space that you provide. And I was gonna say I'll make a joke, but it's really not a joke. Like Rachel she's very aware of it. She has an aura about her that attracts people.
For sure.
Rachel attracts people.
No, yeah.
Seriously, man. And I think, nah, honestly, 'cause even listeners, when they listen to you, that was one of the first things, like the very first few episodes, like, who is this girl? Like, who's Rachel? Like, I have friends that I know that say, I want to meet Rachel. I would love to hang out with Rachel. She seems like somebody I would fuck with. These are women.
We
Like, and
lit.
just I know your personal life and just people, all that shit. So
Yeah,
that's one thing about you, and it's just very easy. You make it very easy to be your friend. And I always appreciate that for you. Like I'm sliding about Rachel, like no ifs, ands, or buts. It ain't no, I know I said I don't want to make the idea of saying like, oh, it don't got to be watered that much. Like, don't get it twisted. Like I'm sliding about Rachel. Like it's not
yeah,
like I love Rachel with all my heart. And I think all of that combined is why this works.
for sure. For sure. Oh, I'm about to cry.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm
We just talked about that shit.
I know. I know. But no, I appreciate that. I feel the exact same way. We talked about not watering, but it's no drought. Like
Straight up.
the reservoir is there, it's
Yeah,
full. I
straight
wore
up.
my glasses. I was getting hot, probably from this tequila, but I
Yeah.
see them start to fog in the camera. So I was like, oh,
And when I want to I want to say this too. When I say I love Rachel, I mean that's my dog, and that means that they always talk about doing things, starting projects, businesses, whatever with your friends.
mhm.
And track records have shown us no matter what industry it is, it kind of ends tricky.
Yeah,
Like ain't none of that. Like I personally would make sure that doesn't happen. And I know Rachel would say the same.
for sure.
Um, and I even to the like if Rachel hit me up tomorrow and said, "Look, I've been thinking about we got y'all. Like I've been thinking about this vision that I got for it. I got somebody else I want to record with. I got somebody else that I think would fit this vision or whatever." My
Mhm.
response would be, well, "How can I help you? Like, what can we do? Like, how can we transition all of that? Because it's not a we only cool because we do this together. It's
Yeah,
like, nah, man, like genuine love and friendship,
for
like
sure.
whatever she needs. Like, and I always want to keep that door open and just keep that comfort open for you because that's how deep it is. And that's
Yeah,
just real. And I want to make sure people out there know it too. Like that's like I would never like I could never see myself falling out with Rachel. Like you gotta do some nut shit to fall out with Rachel. And
I
I
don't
try
be
my
doing.
hardest not to do nut shit every day.
I was gonna lie and say I don't be doing that shit.
You don't do nut shit to me. You do nut shit in general. We hold on, time out. Let me not say you. We do nut shit in general. We don't do nut shit to each other.
Exactly. Exactly that. Perfect. Perfect. But
Straight
no,
up,
I
straight
love
up.
you. I love you so deep. Thank you. I'm about to cry
Nah,
for real, so
nah,
not
I
too
love you
much.
too. All right, well let's pivot then. Let's pivot.
Yeah.
Let's talk about television.
Let's talk about it.
Rachel, I said you were a television like genius,
Yeah.
and one thing that I've always been fascinated with, and I love to hear you discuss. You will tell me about 6 or 7 shows that you're watching at once. And for the life of me, I have no idea how you do it. And not only are you telling me about these shows, you're giving real breakdowns. You're being like you're analytical with it. How do you even? I don't know if it's something that spawned from your childhood. I know we talked about the cable box in the room, but how
Yeah.
is it that you're able to keep up with so much good television? Because my issue is there's so much of it. There's so much content. How do you do it? How do you find all these gems, these new shows keep up with the popular shows? Teach me the way.
Okay. Well, first off, it did start as a child, not just the TV in my room, but I was specifically, and my dad tells the story all the time, and it's also why I really don't do horror, but I would get up. I've never been like a real sleeper,
Mhm.
um, unless I'm just like dog tired. So I probably, if I get 5 hours of sleep, that's good, you know? So my dad would always say, I would come downstairs in the middle of the night and just watch TV. And whenever they would figure out that I had left my room, he would and would fall asleep downstairs. He would just take me back upstairs and I would wake up in my room. But I would always go downstairs and watch TV for however long I would be down there, like God knows, probably hours. And then my dad said I ended up stopping because I must have seen like a horror show, movie, film, whatever. And I just cried and they came and got me from downstairs and I quit doing that shit.
Mhm. Only got to teach me once.
Listen, depending on what it is, it only take one time.
Right, right, right.
um, I love TV. And so because of that, I watch a lot of it. I work from home when I'm not traveling. So there's that. So there's the element of having background noise. I do have a home office as to which there is not a TV. So that tells you how much I sit in my office and work versus the living room or my
Yeah,
room, which I'm trying to get out of because I'm trying to create a sacred space, but that's for another episode.
yeah, yeah. That's another week in the books episode. Shout out
That's
to
another
shout out
week in
to
a
Mo
book
and Spike.
episode for
Shout out
sure.
to Mo and Spike. I know Mo is listening for sure.
Shout out to y'all. So that's that, but I'm just really fascinated. I love a good story. If I've ever told you a story, not to my own horror, I'm an excellent storyteller. Um so I just love it. I love good writing. Cinematography is gonna get me every time. We've talked about it here and on Culture Garden. I love history, so you can get me very easily with a period piece.
Hmm.
There is some I just always imagine myself somewhere in the story, like I can place myself, even if it's something where I absolutely like the new look. Why would I be in Paris in 1942 in the fashion
Right.
district? Like I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I found myself glued every week, every Wednesday to Apple TV. So that's just it. I just create an atmosphere where I can see myself and I just delve in. If it's good, you got me. I'm a fan. I'm gonna talk to people about it. I'm gonna tweet it, maybe post it on
That's
We Got Y'all.
nah. You just answered in a way my next question because it's one thing to enjoy television.
Hmm.
It's another thing to discuss it while also making it entertaining
Yeah.
in podcast form, the
Hmm.
same way we do. And when I say we, I mean you, because you have a certain way about doing that. And I was going to ask what that comes from, but it sounds like it's a mental thing where you're like, I want to immerse myself in this world.
For sure.
So is that safe to say you like so no matter what it is for the most part, because I know there's been certain shows, like I said, we do this. Rachel and myself have been doing this for years, way
Hmm.
before microphones, way before we got y'all Culture Garden, anything.
Hmm.
So there will be times where you'll hit me with a text and say, hey, Nine Perfect Strangers, Regina Hall, like check it out. Like, you know what I mean? Just hit me with the random, I bet. It's one
Yeah.
of those things where if Rachel says it, then I'm checking it out. Like I trust her opinion that much.
Yeah.
Um, so when you're watching something like Nine Perfect Strangers, are you automatically just saying, who would I be in this show? How would I react in these situations? Um, the whole nine.
Yeah. A little bit. And I'll let you in on, well, you probably know, but I'll let the audience know. I used to write
Mm-hmm.
avidly. And I have to stop saying I play with it, but I will write stories, I will write poetry, I will write books. Some of that stuff is still at my parents' house. So I've always been captivated by storytelling. being told the story or
Mm,
clearly telling the story, you know? So
this
I
is
think that's it.
this is interesting, Rachel, because we share that in
Yeah.
common, and I think that that makes a lot more sense now
Mhm.
as far as like the way our minds work and the direction things go. Because I also wrote
Mhm.
short stories, created characters,
Mhm.
just because.
Just
And if you hear, this is 100% unserious, but we've done Tyler Perry films on the Culture Garden, and I'll have some fun and just look at this Tyler Perry universe and connect characters
Mhm.
from this movie to that movie and how they flow together. And it's just one of those things where I've just naturally been doing that for so long
For
that you
sure.
don't even think about it. But
Mhm.
hearing you say you used to write, I'm like, oh well, that's
Yeah.
100. That's why things get so creative, and that's why I believe you're probably so good at predicting
That's
what's gonna happen.
exactly what I was gonna say. That's
Yeah, yes.
exactly what I was gonna say. That's
You
why
be
our
calling it.
predictions come easy, I think, for both of us because it's like, "Oh, this is what I would do."
Hmm.
From that and just living a life, you know?
Yeah. When's the last time you've been blown away by a show?
Ooh.
Whether all right, blown away might be a little much. Just really set back and was like, you know what? I'm really impressed. Like I am impressed with the writing. I'm impressed with everything that's going on. I feel like I've never seen this before. I
Mm.
have an answer, and it's pretty recent because the show just ended. But I want to hear like when's the last time that happened for you?
Oh, I'm interested in what you're gonna say, but I'll be honest, I've just talked about it. The new look on Apple TV is absolutely phenomenal. I talked about it during the origin episode of Culture Garden, but
Hmm.
if you don't listen, just a brief synopsis. It's the story of the fashion houses in Paris during World War II or German occupancy of Paris. So it's the story of Coco Chanel and primarily Christian Dior and their lives during this time. The story of Christian prior to having his own house, Chanel being a Nazi sympathizer and collaborator, essentially. Christian Dior's sister is captured and she's in a concentration camp. And so it's the
Mm,
story of him continuing his life and trying to check on her, trying to ensure that she's still alive. One is she is. Uh and that section of his life juxtaposed against still trying to create beautiful art and not wanting to be a failure. There's some family history with entrepreneurship that's not great,
yeah.
essentially. It is phenomenal. I can't remember if it's 8 or 10 episodes, but every episode it breaks your heart and puts it back together. It's just beautifully written, beautifully acted. I love, 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 love the new look.
I'm gonna have some questions for you
Okay.
surrounding that. Not necessarily the new look, but
Mm.
just a couple things that you mentioned.
Mhm.
Um, Before I go into it, DR from Detroit
Oh, fuck. I love DR.
was, and I haven't finished it.
Oh, it's so good.
Um,
Did I tell you
Television, and yes, you told me about that.
about
You told me about that.
it?
You told all right. So you told me about that. Here's what did it for me. Here were the two things. Here's the two reasons why I got started. You told me about the show,
Mhm.
and then maybe the very next day. So this had to be episode 3 because Felicia. I saw a clip of Felicia Rashad
That's it.
saying, "Did I ever tell you about the time I fucked the Temptations?" And it was just so that the little
Ridiculous.
clip was so funny in itself.
Mhm, mhm.
And on top of you telling me about it, I'm like, all right, cool. I need to figure out what it was because you told me it's a detective show, but it's not like it's a
Yeah.
woman in Detroit, and it just sound kind of fried. So I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm in. And television now, and I'll have a question for you about this in a second. I feel like it tries to do too much sometimes,
Mhm.
and it tries to build a story when you know you have 10 episodes to play with, maybe those first or 2 episodes are a slow burn. And they
Mhm.
building you up to the shit. DR from Detroit, as soon as you watch it, and it was just so
Yeah.
clever and so well written and just so funny.
Mhm.
And it's nigga funny, which you know we love that here.
For sure.
Very
For
black,
sure.
like a very black show. And I just came back from Detroit.
Mhm.
Literally, I was at the NFL draft this past weekend. I personally love Detroit.
I love
Like
Detroit.
I love Detroit. Like I would live in Detroit.
Me too. If I ever
Like
move back north,
no,
I would live in Detroit.
yeah. If I ever like mid, well, I say if I ever, I do live in the Midwest. But Midwest wise, like I would live in Detroit before I live in Chicago.
Oh, mm. I don't know about that.
Okay,
For proximity to my parents, yes, I would live in Detroit. But for my life, I would live in Chicago.
that's because you a Sex in the City girl anyway. Like you need that big city. You need that Chicago, New York, whatever. Even though you don't live in a quote unquote big city, um, but there's enough to do. But I just love Detroit, and I like I said, I going back to the show, it was just different, and the way it made me laugh, and the way I love a mystery. I grew up reading Encyclopedia Brown, and I just love a good mystery and a who done it.
Yeah.
And it's also like I shouldn't even care about this, but it seems interesting. I think the way they ended episode 1
Hmm.
keeps you a little bit more invested about the whole thing. And like I said, it's just a brilliant television show.
For sure.
Um,
Shout out to Dr. Kilpatrick,
absolutely.
who is from Detroit, clearly.
Hmm.
But I love that. I hope that's on BT Plus audience. And I think you can probably buy it on Prime, but it's definitely on BT Plus. It is worth it. It is worth the free
That's
trial if you are not a subscriber.
it's 100% worth it. Let's go back to what you were just talking about with the new look.
Okay.
Is it the new look or a new look?
The I
The
think.
okay.
I don't know.
Either way, it's not really about the show. It's more so about. Well, before I even get there, let me ask you this:
Okay.
do you feel there's too much content?
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, how difficult is it for you to find the good stuff?
It's not because I have not really been wrong. I'm mostly not wrong. I have been wrong on a couple things, but if I like the trailer, I will 95% of the time like the show. If the trailer
Okay,
is good, if I find the trailer good, not if everybody finds it good. If I think it's good, I will give it a whirl. And so I talk about Apple TV. Apple TV is smoking the
all right.
content.
So no, all right. So this is a question I have for you, Rachel.
Okay.
Who's the one right now? Who's the streamer right now that everybody should have a subscription to?
Apple
Is
TV.
it Apple TV?
It's Apple
Because
TV.
for us for a long time it was HBO
It
Max.
was
Before
Max.
Max, it
HBO
was
Max.
HBO Max
Yeah.
/ Max, whatever. And I've heard you say a lot of great things about Apple TV recently. So is that it for you? Is that the one?
Apple is the one. And I'll say I do kind of know what they have coming down the pipeline in the summer. HBO or Max will probably retake the crown in the summer if
Yeah,
things because they have House of Dragons coming back and just some other
June 16th.
programming, which we will talk about. Come on,
Absolutely.
Rhaenyra's Revenge right here. I yeah, now I'm a Valerian Targaryen. Um, it's Apple. So many good shows, movies, half hour, an hour, comedy, drama. Apple TV has everything.
So if I sign up for Apple today, I already have it. But if I'm signing up for Apple today, what are the first 2 or 3 things I should be watching?
Okay. What kind of mood are you in?
I'm open. It's a Friday night. I don't feel like going out. I just want to sit back and watch something new.
Okay. You're gonna watch The Morning Show,
Okay.
Loot.
Loot.
That's Maya
LOOT.
Rudolph. Yep.
Okay.
And MJ Rodriguez. Maya Rudolph is the protagonist in the show. She essentially plays a character who is divorced like Jeff Bezos' wife. And so she's a multi-billionaire and is trying to find all these causes to donate her money to. It's a comedy, very funny. And Maya Rudolph is her. So there's that. There's Physical. There is Shrinking, which is Jason Segel is the protagonist and primary character in that. And he is a therapist whose wife passes away, and he is a single father to his daughter. And it's him trying to navigate his patient's life and his own life and be a father. It is phenomenal.
Is Severance on Apple TV?
Severance is on Apple TV. Blackbird is on Apple TV.
I know it's coming back, which is why I brought it up. Okay. So that's the list to start with Apple TV.
We can start there off the top of my head. Life of the Party was good the first season, got tricky down the line. The Buccaneers.
Life of the Party, what's that? What's Life of the Party?
It is a show. I think that's the name. But Life of the Party, it's a bunch of friends who come to a reunion and then it's like a murder mystery.
Okay.
Trying to figure
That's
out.
right on my alley.
Yeah. Tricky second season, but first season was good. Or maybe it's 3 seasons and the third season was tricky, but the first 2 were good. I can't remember, but tricky at the end, regardless.
Yeah. Those are the worst.
Huh?
I said those are the worst. Those tricky seasons.
Yeah. The Changeling. It's not.
That was the one with
Lakeith.
Lakeith, yeah.
That is very good. It started off very good, then it got a little weird. I know we talked about the new look, and there's a little bit of World War II propaganda going on because there's a Tom Hanks show or movie, like the 181st or something. I can't quite recall, but there's that. And then there's a show dedicated to the airmen of World War II. Shout out to all the veterans.
That's Austin Butler. That's
sure.
Who played Elvis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and that actually is good too. So,
how much does it? And I'm thinking about this from my perspective. Here's my issue, Rachel. It's hard for me to press play. It's hard for me to just, I've never seen this before. I'm just gonna press play and see what happens. I don't know what it is about me. I don't know what the mental hurdle is. But I find myself just going back to stuff that I know, that I'm comfortable with, that I know I'm going to enjoy versus investing. And I think part of it is because there's so much content that I don't know how to keep up with it. I don't know if so let me ask you this, just from your experience. So let's say you're watching 5 different shows. Well, I'm assuming you're doing the job of keeping up with them weekly.
And I get it
versus having to because I'm like, all right, do I watch one episode of this and then bounce to this show? Like, all right, DR from Detroit, Top Chef just started. So, yes, Top Chef just came on, so I'm watching that. Here's my issue. Maybe this is the problem. I'm behind on everything. I'm terrible at keeping up with release dates. How do you even find out what's coming out and when it starts?
Because I watch way too much TV. That's it. I am clearly a TV fool. So that's number one. And I hate playing catch up. So I try to watch as much in real time as I can. So there's that component because I'm not a binge. I guess I am a binger on something that I haven't seen or something that's released in totality. But something released episodically, I want to catch all of that. And so since we're talking about Apple, what Apple TV does is that they release either 2 to 3 episodes initially when a show is first introduced. So you have those 3. By the first one, you know if you're going to tune in or not and stay for the second one. And so they will send you an alert. And I'm pretty sure all the streaming apps will send you, if they know that you've added this to your up next, they'll send you an alert like, new episodes. This will be available on Friday. And so when Friday or actually Thursday around 7 o'clock come, I know that this is available and I can watch it. So I like to spread the shows out. Also, the Royal Palms, that's very good with Kristen Wiig on Apple. I like to spread my shows out. So when they come on, I know that I'm going to watch these two things tonight.
Okay.
I know that this will be available tomorrow. I'm going to watch it when I'm doing my feed or something. Yeah.
So what you're saying is don't get behind, nigga.
Don't get behind. Yeah. Stuff is too good.
And that's the thing, man. I feel like I'm missing out on so much. And it's just, I made a list of the shows to catch up on. And there's just so many. I'm like, man, when am I ever going to like have the time to really sit down and watch all of these?
You have to find it. No.
I get it. No, I get it. I'm dedicated.
Lives. Like
I'm dedicated.
I watch a lot of TV. So I'll download something. If I have a flight, if I have the app, I do have the app, not even a question of if. But I'll download the episode and watch it on the plane if the plane doesn't have TVs. You know what I'm saying? So I just find myself,
and that's usually the
probably overstimulated, but immersed in whatever show I have.
How much goofy shit are you watching? Are you still watching BMF?
Okay, so I just said all of that. I missed the last 2 episodes of BMF. So I caught up on those. Maybe Sunday I ended up watching them. So I am still watching them. I can acknowledge the decline in the programming and the writing for BMF. It's gotten ridiculous. So I'm hoping that after this season, we get into Terry and Meech really, really, really running shit, and we meet I guess we've met them, but we understand them being the notorious or infamous people that we know them to be.
Right.
Yes, I am still watching BMF. I don't really goofy like that.
I know you don't goofy. That's why I was curious if you've even because BMF got to a point where there were certain things I'm one of those people. Once I do start, I have to see it through. Unless it's utterly ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, that's
I'll still finish a season.
Because last season was still good. So there's hope that it turns around and it catches that Raising Kanan vibe and it just becomes the show to watch, because Raising Kanan is the show to be on in the Powerverse.
Yeah, on Stars in general, in my opinion. I just think it happened on Lock. It's just a whole nother level.
Pause.
All right, so
that's the other thing. I will find out about a show, even if I don't see any advertisement. If I'm watching something, whatever in the up next comes, I'll check out the trailer, see if this is worth it. Like I tried to give Marion George, also on Stars, a go. It's not for me, but I tried.
Yeah. So you're a big Marion George is with Julianne
Moore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's rewind a little bit. Trailers is the way to go, from what it sounds like. You watch trailers for everything. Yes. Like you don't blindly get into a show.
No.
Okay. No, that's fair.
No, I'm maybe physical, but I can't think of something that I did not see the trailer for first and like, oh, okay, yeah, I can watch that.
So after Apple, are we going Max? Are we going Netflix? Are we going Prime? Who do you think has the next best programming?
I'm gonna go Max.
Okay.
Even though they've gotten rid of a lot of the good Black shows, Side Eye.
Big Side Eye.
But they have everything. And the way that they've eaten up the market, I know that I can also watch HGTV. I can also watch OWN. I can also watch 10,000 other things that are now in the Max Hub. So for that alone, not for original programming right now, but just for the smorgasbord of things that are available, I'm putting them next.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Max 100% has a lock on some licensing. And I mean, even to the point that you can watch sports now. Bleacher Report is a part of Max. You can watch, the playoffs. You can watch, like you said, OWN. You can watch everything. everything that you can really think of is going to be on Max. It's not necessarily the original programming, and I'm wondering if we've seen the best of HBO in that sense, because I don't even know how. I don't know how they separate HBO and Max originals. Like, for example, Enter the Dragon, not Enter the Dragons. I'm on some Cisco shit. House of Dragon.
Yeah.
Obviously, Game of Thrones is an HBO original. House of Dragons is an HBO original. Insecure was an HBO original. Rap Shit's a Max original. And I'm thinking that those HBO originals are kind of going. I think with this new streaming age, I don't know what quantifies to be under the category of the HBO umbrella versus Max. Max is kind of like, in my eyes. Remember how they treated MTV2 back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, y'all MTV, but y'all really ain't. Like, keep y'all shit over there. Y'all got different offices. Do you see Max making a comeback on original series? Is there anything recently that they've come out with that you think is up for contention? I know they do like the 90 Day Fiance. And is that a Max original?
That's like a WeTV TLC family situation, which also is available on Max. But I don't know. I know that they have the Gerard Carmichael reality situation, and that's not my judge.
Pause. Let's stop. Are you watching that?
Hell no.
Okay. Have you heard things about it?
Yeah, and that let me know that I didn't like the Gerard Carmichael show.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't like
Why not?
Of itself, and it had everything that I love. Loretta Devine, are you crazy?
Yeah, what's all right? Hold on real quick. We don't have to spend a ton of time. What was it about the show that you didn't like?
I don't know. It was just something about it that didn't curl all the way over for me. It felt like Black people writing for the entertainment of white people.
Which is Gerard Carmichael.
Exactly. And it felt like this not my kind of nigga. So I don't know if I can really do that. But I loved Rothaniel, his comedy special, which I don't even know what
Rothaniel.
Maybe I watched it due to all the acclaim, like, oh, okay, let me check it out. It was very good.
Did you watch 8, his stand-up before Rothaniel? All right, so was 8 the first thing I got familiar with Gerard Carmichael? I can't remember if it was Carmichael Show or 8, one of those two. I just love brilliant storytelling and just witty minds. And I thought 8 was that. Very clearly could see right away what type of nigga he was.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound unfair when I say that. I don't want to sound like the gatekeeper of niggerdom. But you can just tell what type of nigga somebody is. Doesn't mean you don't rock with them, but I just know I might not necessarily, like, if he called me on a Friday night and say, hey, I'm with such and such, come through, I'm like, oh, you with that crowd, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But I did love 8. I was a big fan of the Carmichael Show. Big fan of Rothaniel. I thought Rothaniel was brilliant and just his truth. I love people. I love authenticity. Love people living in their truths. I thought it was brilliant. I love home videos. I don't know if you've seen that on Max. Very interesting. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay. So that is something that I want you to watch that, and I want to get your opinion. There's 2 different versions of it. So pretty much it is him going home and just spending time with family and having these conversations. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. It's just good. I like it. It's something I can see myself doing, and just documenting certain real conversations. I'll say all that to say, sometimes the more you know about people, the less inclined you are to kind of keep going on that train or being on that train. And I think that's and this is unfair because I haven't watched the reality show. I don't want to be one of those people that I haven't even watched it, but I'm criticizing it. But I've seen enough and I've heard enough dialogue about it to know that I'm not going to end up liking him by the time I finish this show.
Yeah.
And I've kind of stayed away from it. Maybe I'll watch it. I don't know. I don't have any interest in it right now. I'm comfortable with knowing where my space is with certain people.
Hmm.
Um, I know if for whatever reason I'm in the mood for Chris Rock, I know where my Chris Rock pockets are.
Yeah.
That's why I said for whatever reason. I know where
Mm.
my Chris Rock spot. I know where I want to see Chris Rock, and I know where I don't want to see him. And I don't know. I just think he's hit that road.
Yeah.
Once again, that was a complete tandem. It was just random because I know that's been a lot. There's been a lot of conversation about that show. I think we were talking about just original series. Like, are we the days of Sex in the City, Sopranos, The Wire, Oz?
Now hold on now, because Sex
Are
and the
those days over?
I hope not, because and just like that, which is the sequel or a spinoff essentially to Sex and the City, is
Yeah.
also a Max original, and it is amazing.
So it's a Max original, not HBO.
Oh, it's a Max original or HBO
Interesting.
Max. I don't remember, but it never came
Interesting.
on the actual channel. It was always online.
I think Apple has just cornered the market on that. I
Mhm.
think they've got all the good writers. They've got all the good concepts, and that people are wanting to go make shows with them. Well,
For
I think
sure.
in the past it was HBO.
For sure.
Netflix had a run. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if there's anything on Netflix that you've watched or have been watching.
I don't have my own Netflix account. So
Fair.
whenever my sibling decides to let me log in, or I tune in there on Netflix. I love Emily in Paris.
I started watching that.
Yeah,
I
she's
did.
list.
I did enjoy it.
About Goofy. That's my Goofy.
Yeah, and it's not really that goofy. It's just more like teenish.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she grown, but yeah.
Yeah, young adult teen. Like, yeah.
Young adult, definitely younger than us. I liked High on the Hog on Netflix.
Did you watch Good Times?
No. Then you know me well enough to know that that's not no shit. I'm turning into my mother. I hate stupid shit. So I'm not interested. And I love the original Boondocks. I didn't love the original Good Times, so that's not even a draw in any capacity for me. Um, yeah, I like it's by the same dude who does Family Guy, right? Or
Yeah,
no?
and Steph Curry's no, Seth MacFarlane is an executive producer. Steph Curry is an executive producer. A lot of Chicago people are a part of the show.
Mhm.
Lil Rel and Marseille Martin, I believe, it
She
voices like
is. She is. But oddly enough, I say that I liked Black Jesus.
now that is something I'm surprised that you enjoyed.
Silly shit.
Um,
It's really random, but yeah,
that's something I would have never guessed that you would enjoy that.
I
Um,
really love Corey Holcomb.
Corey Holcomb is anytime he's on tour, I'm signing up because he's uncomfortably funny. Uncomfortably funny. Like, I love seeing people's reactions to the things that he says
Mhm.
in real time. Yeah. All right. So, what are you excited about that's coming up, and what are you plan on discussing here on We Got Y'all as we
Okay,
enter the rest of the? I know we talked about House of Dragon.
period. The Shy.
Hmm.
I'm on the fence about the Net of Power book 2
Yeah,
Ghost.
Ghost.
I'm on the fence. I will not miss the next season of Raising Kanan whenever that comes
Hmm.
back. Timing just didn't work out for us this year, but can't miss that. If they better not lose the fucking zeal next
Right.
season. I that's it off the dome. Um
Harlem. How are we feeling about Harlem? Harlem.
Oh,
So Harlem is the last one. We did Run the World. Obviously, unfortunately, it's not around. Insecure ended, of course, so we know about that. Harlem's kind of like the last Black girl show standing.
hmm
Off the top of my head, how are you feeling about the new season of Harlem and what that's going to look like?
I first, I am still very, very, very disappointed in Stars for canceling Run the World.
Yeah, you and
I
me both.
I cannot get over it. I will not get over it. I feel like I'm holding a candle for it the same way I hold a candle for Bigger, also on BET Plus. I know you and Scoot tried to watch it, but it is phenomenal. If you get past that first dick scene, it is phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal TV. I am looking forward to Harlem just because I did like the way that we ended things. I'm excited to see what the girls are up to, but my excitement for that does not overtake my disappointment in losing Run the World.
I got you. That
But
makes sense.
yes, we will cover it. Just we covered it last season. I want to know what they got going on. I kind of missed the girls. Angie became a favorite character for me when I hated her season 1. So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
excited to see what hijinks and life lessons we learn and we get
I'm
some maybe
tripping.
of it.
I'm tripping. I know there's a show. I know there's another show that you're really waiting on. White
What?
Lotus season 3.
Oh God, yes. Okay, that's also that's an HBO show. Because White
Oh,
Lotus,
okay.
yeah, White Lotus comes actually on network TV.
Okay.
Yes, they are in Asia. If you don't watch White Lotus, check it out. They were in Italy last season, season 2, with Theo James. It's a fine white, but
That's you know what's funny? You know why? You know what's funny that you even said that?
what?
When we recorded, shout out to Mo, shout out to Spike. We were recording Good Earners, the Sopranos podcast, and randomly somehow we got into the conversation of who was our favorite, who was our white girl, like who was our one.
Mhm.
Um, I don't. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but for some reason, I Anne Hathaway for some reason just
I love Anne
it's
Hathaway.
something about Anne Hathaway that I absolutely love. Um, so yeah. I just when you said that it made me think about that. Yeah, we just discussed it on Sunday, so it made me think of it. But as far as moving forward
Mhm.
with We Got Y'all
Yes.
and getting this thing underway and getting it together, I guess. I know you mentioned, for those of you who are familiar with it, every time we would discuss the show, we're doing it episodically.
Mhm.
So we'll go through week by week and we'll have these discussions. We've done it for a few different programs. I know you've mentioned that maybe there'll just be some episodes where we take 2 or 3 shows and just have a few comments about all 3 of them combined and put that out as one episode.
Mhm.
Do you see that as something that could be happening? Do you still want to do everything episodically? What should people be expecting as We Got Y'all gets into the full swing of things in the next couple of months?
Yeah, okay. So, yes, here's what I don't wanna do. At the end of 2023, during the Culture Garden recap, we talked about all the numbers and how We Got Y'all performed essentially over the course of the year.
Yeah.
In taking some time, or this essentially the whole first quarter and part of the second, because it's about to be May already.
Right.
In taking such a hiatus, I don't want to do that again. Um,
Hmm.
so I think in order to keep the engagement and to keep, I want to say ourselves, but you do so much to keep myself sharp. It'll be necessary to do those random, I don't want to call them filler episodes, but just random check-ins, especially if production is slow and we're not
I
recording regularly.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I love that idea and I'm here for it, as you know. I'm also here for a news version of We Got Y'all. And what I mean by that is there might be news in the television realm
Okay.
that happens or comes out, or I know, like for example, Harlem added some new people to their cast,
Yeah.
where it just might be an episode where we take 2 or 3 news events that are going on and just discuss
Mhm.
them, what's going on. I know for a while I wanted to just kind of talk about streaming services when HBO was removing all, what it felt like all the black content and canceling shows, and digging deeper into why that's happening and why streaming services will remove original content. So, for example, HBO Max had a movie called Charm City Kings,
Oh, yeah.
and they removed it. Like you can't even find it on HBO Max, and that was always odd to me. And I
Mhm.
found out why, and there's some money things that go with that, and
Got it.
um, it's the way people get paid. A lot of this stuff came out when the strike was going on,
Mhm.
and that's been causing a lot of issues. But I use that as an example of just moments we can have to just, there might not be anything to discuss in television, but there might be news to discuss, might be events that happen that we just want to, you know, touch base on and get a better idea of what's going on, or shows that we found out, oh, this show's coming back. Let's go ahead and get into it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I know we'll figure it out. I know that you will. I trust your guidance and everything that you want to do. Last thing, I guess, before we get out of here.
Okay.
Well, two things, two-part question. One, do you re-listen to anything?
When we record?
And it and when we record, do you re-listen to everything? Is it hit or miss? Like, depends on what I'm doing.
Oh, I listen to everything on We Got Y'all.
Hmm.
Culture Garden is hit or miss.
Okay, got you. And this is no news. I don't listen to a lot of stuff.
I
I
know.
do listen to We Got Y'all
Yeah.
though. Mainly because I like hearing. Rachel, you can probably attest to this. There are moments when we finish an episode
Mhm.
and it's like, oh man, like I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
And there are also moments when it just feels like another Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then
For
I'll
sure.
press play and I'm like, was this us? Like
Yeah.
this is good. Like this was us. Like this is the same person that this was
Mhm.
me recording the other day because I didn't feel like any of this was said, but we must have just been in the bag.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you listened to it, and that the reason is because I want to know what your favorite thing that we've done is from We Got Y'all.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
you have Insecure, you have Your Honor, you have Harlem, you have Winning Time, you have Run the World,
Winning time.
and you have Rap Shit. Like, what do you think some of your most fun conversations were?
Obviously Insecure. Obviously Run the World. Maybe not so obviously for the audience or some of the crossover listeners, but obviously Your Honor. I think Your Honor might be number 2.
Nah, listen, Your Honor is a series when I knew we had something.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, for those listening, we did Insecure,
Mhm.
didn't know what we were going to do with this feed, went ahead and doubled down. And even the Best Man final chapters, that
Yeah.
was really Culture Garden. And we
Mhm.
happened to say, hey, since this is quote unquote TV,
Yeah.
let's also put it on the We Got Y'all feed. But
Mhm.
Your Honor was the second show that we've really done episodically.
Yeah. I Your Honor is the one.
That
Like
was great. That was a great time.
even if they decided, and I know that they won't because it was supposed to be a live, we weren't even supposed to get a second season of that in the first place.
Right.
But if the powers that be were suddenly at Showtime, like, yo, let's just run it back. Let's just see what we could get. I would want to cover Your Honor again.
Same.
Um Harlem. I loved our Winning Time conversations. I hate the way Winning Time ended. Again, HBO did a disservice, or Max did Winning Time
Winning,
horribly.
I'll tell you, I think our last one was one of my favorites. And it's always funny because we struggled with the first season.
Mhm.
I really enjoy discussing rap shit with you.
Yeah. I like rap. Oh, I miss rap shit.
Yeah, I really enjoy rap shit with you. And a lot of people hit us up because we didn't do Raising Canaan as we discussed, but we decided, you know what, this season was so good. Let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day, we dropped it. It was an hour,
Mhm.
15 minutes. A
Crazy.
lot of people hit us up,
Mhm.
specifically on the DMs of the Culture Garden. Like, yo, I've been waiting on this. I miss y'all. Like, I
Oh,
love this conversation. And I was like, all right, bet. Like, we still got something here.
got something. That's why we gotta do season 4
Of what?
of Raising Canaan.
Oh yeah, we got to do season 4. We
Yeah,
got to do
that
season 4 of
series
Raising
was
Canaan.
so fucking good. Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
it. What about you? I know it's
um,
but I want to know.
no, Insecure,
Mhm.
Your Honor for sure. Like
Yeah.
week by week, Your Honor yes, Your Honor for sure. Run the World for sure. The Winning Time conversations were cool. But Your Honor,
Your Honor is
It's
the
Your Honor.
one,
Your
boy.
Honor was good. Your Honor is the one that I go back to a
Yeah,
lot and listen to. And I listen to certain things and I think about certain moments and characters and what they were doing and just the way we flowed with that. It was just
yeah,
great. There was a genuine joy of seeing each episode, and like I can't wait to talk about this.
for sure.
And that goes with the writing and the acting. It was just well done. It was just very well done.
For
Um,
sure.
just came to talk to my favorite auntie, like New Orleans, all of that. It was just cool. It was just real cool. Um,
Shout out to
so I'm
design.
excited. Yeah, straight up. I'm uh I'm excited to get into this year with you. House of Dragon, The Shy, White Lotus,
Mhm.
Harlem season 3, other mini conversations about shows that maybe I don't want to say don't deserve, but we're not going to dedicate the time to spending an hour plus on a
Mhm.
weekly basis, but they still deserve conversation.
Yeah.
One last thing, and this will be the last thing before I get out of here.
Okay.
Are there any shows where you would retroactively go back and want to discuss episodically? For example, would you ever have any interest in going back to discuss Insecure season 1 through 4? Would you ever have any interest in going back to discuss Best Man final chapters in an episodic format?
Interesting. I
Would
know
you
we
ever want to go back and discuss A Different World or Girlfriends or Sex in the City?
yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. And I know that we've talked about it for Insecure, especially.
That's I've been pushing that bandwagon for the
Yeah,
longest.
yeah.
Personally, I've been pushing like, let's go ahead and do 1 through 4 and wrap this shit up. It does lose. I think it loses a little bit of flair, but I want to hear what you think about it.
I think that's it. Is that it may lose a little bit, especially for I'll say an Insecure and like a Sex in the City where I've seen those episodes so many times. Um, I don't know if Sex and the City definitely Insecure some grace because it's more current. Um, but I don't know what like a fresh perspective and fresh take looks like. So far removed from uh airing and my initial thoughts. I don't know, maybe Insecure, but as much as I watch Sex in the City, it's a comfort show for me, just like the Cosby Show in a Different World are. But the reality is, and maybe a difference between that and the other two shows I just mentioned, is that Sex in the City is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's still quote unquote good, but a lot of it did not age well. I
Okay.
think that Insecure does fine because again, it is still this millennia. Uh, it's a show that essentially we grew up with or in our young adulthood. We're the same age as the character, so it's relatable in that aspect. But I don't know. I know that you want to do it for Insecure. It's on my prayer
Hey.
list. It's
Oh, the
I'm
prayer list
thinking
is
about
crazy.
it. I'm thinking
Hey,
about it. It would be good. It would be funny. But I also feel like there's so much out there.
yeah,
Do I want to dedicate the time to go back and rewatch to that degree?
that's the part.
Yeah.
And I think part of this push, we've discussed, you and I have discussed Insecure since
Hmm.
Insecure started, the golden age, the golden era of Twitter,
Yeah.
when everybody was live tweeting it and the
Live
whole nine.
Yeah.
So we have had that conversation. We've done it. Um, I think it's because I'm currently discussing Sopranos,
Okay.
which is a little bit different because it's long format. These
Yeah.
episodes are 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Not the Sopranos episodes, but the podcast episodes are about
Hmm.
2.5, 3 hours
Hmm.
because we're going scene by scene, which we
Yeah.
don't do that here. We got y'all. We don't break things down by scene. We just kind of have
Discussion.
characters and what they have going on, discussion
Mhm.
about it. So it wouldn't be the same, but I will say it is a lot of work and a lot of time committed to it. If you want to do, like, for example, if we did the first 4 seasons of Insecure, we're looking at, what was it, 8, 8, 10, 10.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're in 30 something weeks. That's over half a year
Yeah.
of just dedicated to just doing one show.
Yeah,
It does become a lot. It does
that's
become a lot. It doesn't leave a ton of room for other things.
Mhm.
So that's the one drawback. I don't know if it's needed. Maybe one day in the right setting with the right thing. Who knows?
Yeah,
Um, but I am, regardless of all that, I was just curious. I am looking forward to discussing all the other things with you.
for sure.
Fresh takes on House of Dragon, I think, is the most what I'm looking forward to the most. We've been waiting a while for it, and I'm just ready to have that conversation with you.
Yeah,
Um,
I get my hair braided. I have my platinum Targaryen braids going this summer.
yeah, yeah. So, Rachel, that's really about it. Like I said, this is more of a check in with the listeners.
Mhm.
Um, appreciation for everybody still rocking with us, letting you know what we have planned, taking a deeper dive into Rachel's mind when it comes to television, why she's the perfect person to do this, to lead this crusade, and why I'm so excited and so fortunate and blessed to be her passenger on this journey. Rachel, I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Not really. Thank you. I love you. I will be interviewing you at some point.
Well, and that's all right. So here's another thing. I'm always working on something.
Mhm.
I've been working on an interview format show
I'm
for quite some time,
I know.
and I've got this moving stuff that's about to wrap up. I'm getting close to a point of launching it. My
Mhm.
real questions are going to be for that.
Okay.
I have some real questions for you
Oh, okay.
in regards to television, podcast, stuff like that. Not like life. It ain't gonna be that type of thing. It's gonna be more so about this space and just stuff. But I think it's gonna be a little bit more intimate, more in depth. Really getting to Rachel more versus like what your likes are in front of that. I just this space that we're operating in, because I think there's a lot of story to you that people don't know, um, and even things I'm curious about. Just what your thoughts are about certain things and navigating certain spaces and all of that we've never discussed in detail. So I'm saving a lot of that for that.
Ooh,
But
like
hopefully, you know what?
I said, ooh, like what?
Nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. But yeah. Other than that, we got y'all. We're
For sure.
here. Trust me, the mics are still on.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon. If
Yes.
not with our next show, because I don't think we still got another. Whoa, actually, May 10th is around the corner. So we
Yeah.
might be back with May 10th real quick for y'all.
Yeah.
Other than that, Rachel, I love you. I appreciate you.
For
Everybody
sure.
out there listening, we love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Y'all
Yeah.
be cool. Y'all be cool.
Peace out, guys. Bye. I
And
love y'all.
We out.